The opinions expressed by the host and guest on this program are solely their own and do not represent the views or opinions of Blind United. We strive to provide diverse perspectives and discussions on our platform, but the opinions expressed should be understood as personal viewpoints and not reflective of Blind United as an organization.
It's time. It's time for
coffee time.
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 And here is your coffee time crew.
Well, good Thursday morning, everyone. And as always, welcome back to Coffee Time with Blind United. So today in the crew, we got, of course, Miss Carol. Good morning, Carol.
Good morning, everyone.
And then we actually got George in here with us this morning. Good morning, George.
Good morning, Vietnam. ¿Cómo está todo aquí? Viene aquí a Coffee Time. Buenos días todos.
And then, of course, my brother Pedro.
Good morning.
It's going to be one of them days.
Yeah, one of them days. Buenos días todos. ¿Cómo están? Good morning, everybody. Good morning, George. Good morning, Ed and Carol. Hey, we're almost to the weekend.
So, anyway, we got to do much jumping off, but because of the way this is falling, we don't have a interest group for the first Thursday, so no interest groups tonight. So, but today is a special day in a special kind of way. It is May Day. For those that understand
that's a good candy, PJ. That's a really the peanuts and all that.
I haven't had one in a while, George, but you're thinking about your belly again.
Oh, so okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're talking about the National Day of Protest. Actually, I think it actually started off on labor rights. May Day did. It's been used over the years for many different things. Now I think they just call it the National Day of Protest. So today we are going to do a little quick countdown. Did a little research and found the top 3 issues that are being that have scheduled protests for today. So we're going to do a little countdown from 3 to 1. So let's jump into this and see which is number 3 on the list.
Today on Coffee Time, one struggle, one fight, immigrant rights and social equity on May Day. Across the country, May Day events are highlighting the intersection of immigration justice and broader calls for social equity. While many marches are unified by economic demands, the heart of these actions lies in protecting immigrant communities and standing up for the marginalized. In Southern California, coalitions of immigrant rights groups, labor unions, and student organizers are marching under the banner, One Struggle, One Fight, Workers Unite. These efforts are directly challenging harsh immigration enforcement, which activists argue has created fear and division within communities. The message is clear. Immigrants are not only part of the American workforce, they are central to it. Protesters are also spotlighting systemic inequalities in education, housing, and healthcare. For many, May Day is not just a labor protest. It's a day to demand justice across all spheres of life. From sanctuary cities to bilingual education, speakers are raising their voices for policy changes that reflect the diversity and humanity of America. Participants say this year's actions are about building solidarity, not just protesting injustice. It's about recognizing that labor, racial justice, and immigration are deeply linked. In an era of rising authoritarianism and corporate consolidation, these protests represent a powerful assertion of people power. What does true equity look like in your community? Do immigrant rights get the attention they deserve? Share your perspective. Now back to the Coffee Time crew for their thoughts.
Well, all right. Well, I knew this was going to be in the top 3, when I started doing the research on it. And no, immigration rights don't get the attention it deserves. I mean, again, this is one of them things where we just kind of have to. We coexist. I mean, I don't want to get into what Trump and his administration, deems as everybody coming across that border as, some sort of a criminal or out of
But you know
some.
what, Mr. Davis? And I've been to interrupt you. Just from a perspective here on the border, just last week, we had a couple, a man and wife from Venezuela. They were arrested here in El Paso. They were put into detention, and they went in front of a court. And the judge, well, let's go back. When they got arrested, uh, the administration was saying that these two individuals are gang leaders or gang members. There's no evidence, right? No evidence at all. So
Of
anywho,
course.
they went to court this past, I think, Thursday or Friday here in El Paso, and the judge ordered them to be released, and they were released. But the point is that here in El Paso, it's just, and you see the individuals in the street and corners asking for money, but to be honest with you, Mr. Davis and everyone listening, the picture of immigrants has been put in a position where it's a negative thing, right? It's, oh, they're immigrants, so that parlays into um, crime and rape, and I think that's something that needs to be addressed when it comes to immigration rights, right? Because like me, I'm a brown person, and Pedro, we could just literally right now in this under this administration, I could be stopped and asked, what's my citizenship, and if I don't answer
Profiled.
correct profile, and if I don't answer correctly, I'm not lying to you. People have been put in prison or in detention that are U.S. citizens. But going back to, I want to mention this too, guys. The rhetoric that has been put by this administration. Now I'll say this administration to make it more. We're not poking at one person, but this individual in this administration, he actually contributed to that shooting that happened here in El Paso back in 2019, where 23 individuals were murdered at a Walmart. And as a matter of fact, just last week, the state, or actually the state of
Well, that's
Texas.
part of the danger for him, George. I mean, of him. I mean, he does a lot of rhetoric, and
Oh,
like again, this whole thing about all of these immigrants being criminals and so on and so forth. I mean, bottom line, it just basically is not true.
no.
You know, I mean, a lot of these people, majority of these people, are just coming over here trying to make a better life. I mean, they're being brought over here on them whatever them visas are, where they bring them over here as farm workers or whatever, work them for so
Or
many
the
months.
HB20.
Yeah, and then they want to send them back home after they're done using them. You know what I'm saying?
Mr. Dave, let me ask you a question, and just from your perspective, because you're the eldest in this group, and in the 70s and the 80s, was this the same regarding immigration, or was it different? Because it regards that, kukui, the immigrants are bad. Was that, especially there in California, was that the connotation back
Well,
then?
I'm keep being 100% transparent, George. At one point, I had an issue because I was a truck driver. I worked down in L.A. Harbor, hauling them containers. Come all this, that's another subject. But where all the trade stuff comes in, and I was, they were, the immigrants were coming in and they were doing some little underhanded stuff, cutting the pricing and so on and so forth like that. And I was losing a lot of money. So I was truly against them before I sat down and realized, you know, man, when you come from where they come from, you understand why they work as hard as what they do because they couldn't possibly make this kind of money at home, right? Plus, 90% of them are sending money back home, but looking at what they were doing to me, I was very disgruntled with them. You know what I'm saying? But that was another time. I mean, now were they being rounded up and all this stuff like Trump is doing? No, ain't nobody ever did this. And even Obama, he deported a whole bunch of people. A lot of people don't realize he deported a lot of people.
But
You
hold on,
know,
real quick. So when you said that hasn't been done before, well, technically it has in 1952, what's called the Wetback Express, where they went to Arizona, Texas, Southern California, and grabbed. If you're brown, you're going back to Mexico no matter what. But the point is, the difference, Mr. Davis and everyone, from 1952 and to 2025 is the rhetoric behind it. That's a huge difference, right? Now that with social media is more expanded, right? But now, saying that, oh, the people are coming over to rape, it just, to me, it's just the rhetoric that's the most damaging thing. You're correct, Mr. Davis, when you said that, right? When it comes to the immigrants, and
Mhm.
I know many people that will bust their butt for $20 a day to
Yeah.
do something that we won't do an hour.
Oh
And
Well,
yeah, of
I'm
course.
gonna be transparent. I didn't hire them.
I
You
have.
know,
um, I believe it's a deflection tactic that the billionaires and the wealthy are using. The people in leadership positions too, like our politicians. They're deflecting. Like, look over there. Look, that's the problem.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
what are they fixing with this and the tariffs, and all that? Things are looking. People are. There's been polling that indicates that people think we're going into a recession.
Oh yeah.
well, I mean, yeah, but hold that for the last article.
But one more thing, guys, and the thing that
Sorry.
so
But
what's going on?
let me make a point here. I'm just kind of, and I'm taking off of what Pedro just said. It is the corporate farmers that are doing all of the applications for those visas to bring those immigrants over here to do that
Mhm,
farm work. You understand what I'm saying? So, bottom line, they are using these people on one breath and one instance,
mhm.
but when they get in front of the camera, they getting back home at Mar-a-Lago hanging out with old Trumpy boy. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Now it's a problem. We got to get rid of these people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Two-Face.
yeah, yeah, and think about it too. They hire, and who does it benefit? Um, for the workers that are immigrants to get paid less than minimum wage or something, get paid something like that. Who does it benefit? Who's
It benefits corporate. That's what I'm saying. I mean, the
mm-hmm,
same people
mm-hmm,
that are creating the rhetoric, right,
are
are the
hiring.
same people that's bringing them over here as seasonal workers, right? And then when they're done with them, they send them back home until next season.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah, because
mm-hmm,
they're not getting any benefits. All they're getting is just money to survive, and then through that money that they're using to survive, they're sending back home to just lift up their families
You
that
know,
are
so,
receiving nothing hardly.
When Ross Perot ran for president, if you go back and look on YouTube, he specifically said that, guys, about equalizing or making it equal pay here in the United States and Mexico, which we all know, right? It's not going to happen because of economics. But the point is, the corporate takes advantage of that, right? Like, okay, I'll pay this guy $5 for $7 an hour or whatever. When really, what do you say, Mr. Davis? A living wage, which is what in California right now, $20 an hour, where over in the fields, $7 or even $5 or even $4 an hour,
mm-hmm.
people do that because they need that money. Because in Mexico or here in Juarez, 4 miles away from where I'm at right now, $4 an hour is pretty good. It's really good compared to $40 a week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think that's
Right.
that's a big the big problem there.
Yes, yes. George, was the same story you were talking about earlier about the two gentlemen that were in court? Because I was hearing reports about a gentleman that got the court released them, but ICE was waiting right outside the court, ready to catch him up, even though the court, you
Is that the
know.
I'm not sure if that's the Mohammed guy, the gentleman from that was released, and then I'm not sure if that's the same one because I know here in El Paso, no, it was actually a husband and wife that were
Mm-hmm,
caught, and they do have a pending hearing, but the administration right away, and you know what's sad, guys, right now if you're brown, right away you're in the gang, you're from Venezuela and you're MS-13 and all this stuff, which is ridiculous. Right. So that's right now. That's their little spiel. Okay, this person they could be from Brazil. Doesn't matter. But right away they put them. Oh, they're in immigration. I'm sorry. They're in gangs. We got to take them back to wherever they're from.
right. Well, they don't care because if they're not from here, they're an immigrant.
mm-hmm,
Mhm.
Well, if you let me rephrase that. If you have brown skin and you are not from here, you are an immigrant.
mm-hmm,
True.
mm-hmm. Um,
Okay, so anyway, let me get into these comments right quick. Miguel agreed with you, Miguel, about uh, dude at the Walmart in his manifesto, he talked about how Trump, said he told him to do it, whatever. Then there was, there's a lot of comments here. I'm sorry. But basically, everybody's saying good morning. They agree with what we're saying. I'm just going to summarize because there's too many. I need to keep up with them a little better. But again, immigrants are needed. They're part of our economy.
Hmm.
They spend a lot of money here. They get jobs where they don't reap the benefits of the job. My point being, they're paying taxes and they can't file a tax return. They're paying into Social Security. They'll never be able to collect Social Security. You know what I'm saying? All
Right.
these various things. They go into the stores. They're not running home to Mexico to buy their groceries. I mean, come on now. They running down they run into Walmart. They run into all the chain stores like we are, to buy their stuff. So that contributes to the local economy, with all our sales taxes and all this other kind of stuff. They got to buy gas, or they got to pay rent.
Hmm.
They are adding to our economy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, Let me
So,
propose a question. What they've been talking about. What do y'all think about abolishing ICE? Is a question that's been brought up and been
No, see, that's the thing. Yeah, I heard that too, Pedro. And the thing about this, right away, we go with that. Remember how back when it happened was it George Floyd? Oh, we got to defund the police. That's not the thing. It's just the immigration system has to be readjusted or redone or modified because ICE and Border Patrol and all these agencies, they do a job. They do, get those criminals. But what's happening is that this administration is weaponizing it now, right?
well, he's telling them now, rather than just look for just criminals, just grab anybody with dark skin.
Well, that's what I'm
Right.
saying. Now they're weaponizing it where like they say me and Carol are walking down the street, they could stop us. Now they can say, well, okay, you know what? We're under orders. Where are you from? Show us ID. If you don't have ID, you come in with us. Literally, guys. Literally. I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's that's scary.
that's profiling, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Well,
it
I
is.
mean, me
it,
being a
it's
What
black
are the
person,
profiling,
laws?
profiling that's been around for the longest. If you're driving a
and
fancy car and you're a black individual in a wealthy neighborhood, they're gonna pull you over. Like, what are you doing over here?
well, I mean, but they're also doing this in states where it's not a stop and ID state. You understand what I'm
Mm,
True.
saying?
That is
mm,
true. Yeah.
Okay.
mm.
Again, we have rights, and the Fourth Amendment is the fact that we don't have to identify unless we've committed a crime.
Agree. Agree.
So unless you can truly articulate a crime that I've committed, I don't have to identify to you.
So I have a joke right quick. Nah,
You
never
know.
mind. It might seem insensitive. Never mind.
So
That's
I
my
mean,
job.
but
Oh, but guys, but seriously, Mr. J, and I'm very glad we're talking about this because it needs to be discussed, right? It needs. We're not. How you say? We're not Democrat or Republican in this discussion. We're talking the truth, right? Because if your
Mhm.
last name is Hernandez or Chavez or
well,
Dominguez,
how about this one, George? We're not sitting up in Mar-a-Lago or wherever, or Spaggles in Beverly Hills with the rest of the rich folks. We are living life with these people. We are
Right.
interacting with these people every day. Our kids go to school with their kids. Okay. We go shopping. We go to the movies. We do everything we do is with these people. We know these people much, much better than the people that's sitting in Mar-a-Lago.
They're
and
my
when you get
neighbors.
Mr. Davis, you could probably attest to this. I mean, even you, Pedro. I'm sure Miss Curve, you've gone to Mexico, but like
I
me,
have.
we could literally like 4 miles away from here go to Mexico, and it's a different world, guys.
It
A
is.
It
different
is.
world.
Monterey is totally different than Dallas, Texas.
Oh yeah.
So,
Mhm.
I mean, again, something needs to be done. It needs to be fixed. These people, they deserve rights. You know what I'm saying? They deserve a fair, inclusive process to come into the America. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even if you want to put limits on it, not that I want to see that happen, but like for as an example, these folks that are coming over here on those visas doing this work, right? Man, let that be the thing to come in. I remember, who was it? I think it was Obama was started a program where if you joined the military and did your 4 years, you became a citizen. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Different programs like that give people a way to earn their way into
There
the
you go.
country. You
Mhm.
know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
But
so
the only
again,
problem is that when I applied for a visa, I got denied, and other people are getting it for free.
I
What the heck is
went
that?
through with you, George. It's time for some
George.
promos, Pedro.
Man, when I apply for a visa, I got a letter in the mail say you got denied.
Right?
Credit
You were
letter.
denied.
But all jokes aside, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead and hit the promos, though. We're going to move on to the next one. Did you know Blind United offers free training in assistive technology? We call them interest groups. We offer training in JAWS, NVDA, iPhone, iPad, as well as Meta Ray-Bans. We also have groups like support group, cooking groups, and crafting groups. There are also groups for entertainment like movie night and RS game night. For more information about all the interest groups that we offer, just email us at info@blindunited.org or visit our Facebook group, Blind United Interest Group. We would love to have you be part of the Blind United crew.
June 21st, got a vibe so right. Come through the service and a day tonight. It's Blind United, yeah, we're bringing the flair. Crafts and colors floating in the air. Jewels that shine, lotion so smooth. Mosaics, baked goods, handmade grooves. You don't wanna miss this artful affair. Blind made magic, love everywhere. Jewel that shine, lotion so smooth. Mosaics, baked goods, handmade grooves. You don't wanna miss this artful affair. Blind made magic, love everywhere. You want a table, just 25 bucks. Bring your vision, your craft, your luck. Vendors welcome, come show your pride. Let your work shine, let your soul ride. It's more than a fair, it's a moment to share with a community that truly cares. So email us now, don't miss your spot. info@blindunited.org, we got a lot. Jewels that shine, lotion so smooth. Mosaics, baked goods, handmade grooves. You don't wanna miss this artful affair. Blind made magic, love everywhere. So come vibe with the crew, enjoy the day. Blind United has got it set our way. June 21st, bring your smile and light. Art and love, yeah, we'll shine so bright.
All right. Well, let me. I'm going to straighten something up. Well, Katie said that immigrants are needed to do the work that Americans are not able to do. Katie, I'm sorry, I disagree. They are here to do. They are needed to do the work that Americans are not willing to do.
Amen.
Yes.
Okay. So, but anyway, so let's jump into this next one, and we'll talk about this on the other side, I'm sure.
Today on Coffee Time, May Day's call for economic justice and labor rights. May Day 2025 is putting labor rights and economic justice back at the center of public discourse. From New York to California, activists, union members, and everyday workers are taking to the streets with a clear message: fair pay and worker protections are non-negotiable. Demands this year include a push for a federal minimum wage increase to at least $20 an hour, an amount activists argue better reflects the modern cost of living. Protesters are also challenging efforts to privatize public services, with many advocating to preserve institutions like the U.S. Postal Service and to defend union representation in both public and private sectors. The May Day Strong National Day of Action, backed by educators, labor leaders, and local organizers, emphasizes the need for systemic reform to protect the American worker. Many rallies include testimonials from service workers, teachers, healthcare professionals, and delivery drivers, all sharing stories about unsafe working conditions, stagnant wages, and retaliation against organizing efforts. Protesters are not just calling for wage increases. They're also pushing for reforms that ensure safe workplaces, enforceable labor laws, and protection from unjust terminations. The urgency is real, and the message is unified. Workers deserve respect and a seat at the table. How should labor rights evolve in a changing economy? Do you believe the minimum wage reflects today's reality? We want to hear your thoughts. Now back to the Coffee Time crew for their thoughts.
You know, when it comes to, all of this business period, you know what I'm saying? I look at things in a different way. Let's go here. Let's say, corporate or this business is like a Rolex, right? You open it back up, you look in there, you see all kind of gears. If you take one gear out of there, that watch don't work no more. Okay? Labor is that gear. If you take us out of the mix, it don't work no more. Okay? We deserve, American workers deserve a voice. I mean, you can't just treat us like we're peasants. Okay? I mean, we're human beings just like everybody else. I mean, back to my comment where, with Katie, we're willing to do this work. We're not willing to do that work. But bottom line, we're willing to do some work. And bottom line, even the farm workers, they have a union. Okay. They were just having their thing the other day, an anniversary, last week, I believe it was, or maybe it was earlier this week. I'm not 100% sure. But again, we deserve a seat at the table. This is what our unions do for us, but with collective bargaining that gives us a seat at the table where we have negotiating power, right? When they separate us and keep us down, now that they don't want to pay us. I mean, is $20 a minimum wage? Yeah, in today's market, I believe it is because of the way all the prices are jumping up, the way the prices are continuing to jump up right now. $20, $20 an hour, 40 hours a week, you're barely going to be able to survive. Barely going to be able to survive. But
Mr. Davis,
yes, sir.
I have 2 points to make real quick. So one of them that we always hear about the USPS, right? The United States Postal Service. And I can tell you a little bit perspective from my end. Because when I had the BT program and I was inside the main processing center, I saw a lot of grievances, guys. A lot of grievances. What does that grievance mean when it comes to pay? Right? And at the end of the day, the union would lose or win, and the USPS had to pay. But the other thing we have to also think about is, and there's a point to my little rant here. When I was at the Department of Labor under the OWCP program, the Office of Workmen's Comp program, a majority of my cases were USPS. So we have to understand that the reason why, in my opinion, why the USPS is losing so much money is because of those two issues, the union grievances and the workmen's comp. And it's huge, folks, if I could just tell you that. But at the end of the day, you're right, Mr. Davis. Pay has to equal a living wage. However, again, from my perspective with BET, if you pay someone $20, which is, I feel that's appropriate, we have to understand that the back end, like you just said, Mr. Davis, it was a Rolex watch. It's not the same thing, but what I'm saying, but we have to understand that the $20 I'm paying you, I'm going to have to raise my prices as a business owner, right? So what happens? This is a vicious cycle starts all over again because I raise my prices, and now what? Those $20 don't go far enough like I used to. So, right? So, okay, I want to raise my rate to $40 an hour. Okay, I raise you to 40. Guess what? I got to raise my prices again. So
but see, here's where the cycle gets started at, George. Bottom line, the prices go up to where the $20 is not suitable anymore. So now we got to ask for more money. So now we're going to get 25. So now now corporate says, okay, well now because we paying you 25, we got to raise the prices again. It's a vicious cycle.
Now the only difference between a small business owner and a corporate, Mr. David, I'm glad you mentioned that. Even what really gets my goat when they say, let's say for example, I won't say a name. They say company X, Well, that's the wrong one to say. Company C. They say company C. They're a corporation, right? And they're saying, oh, we lost money this year. But yet, in their stocks report, they gained what, $2 billion, $3 billion. I'm like, where in the hell? How in the world can you be losing money if you're gaining? You know what I'm saying? That's what I never understood. You're right, Mr. Davis. If it's a corporation and you're making $3 or $4 billion a year, you can afford to pay your employees. Absolutely,
Of course you
absolutely.
can. Of
But now, if
course
you're
you
making
can.
20,000 a week as a small business owner, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. But corporations, yes, absolutely.
Well, I mean, and again,
Well,
like you always, I'm sorry, Pedro. I'm gonna get this in when you can talk, my brother. I'm sorry. Uh, I'm gonna point out since George is always pointing out I'm the oldest guy in the room. Back in my day when I was younger, corporate CEOs they didn't get 400 or 500 more than what the average worker was getting. They were lucky to get 20, 30 times what the average worker was making, and we thought that was outrageous. Okay. That's another reason for all of these price hikes is because they more and more corporate bonuses and so on and so forth. That's another main driver of our price things. But go ahead, Pedro.
no, I was just gonna ask, do you believe there should be policies separating small and large corporations from each other, or have like a different bracket? So let's say, for example, they enact a across the whole United States the same paying wage, right? Well, that's gonna hurt the small business owner, right?
Right.
You think there should be policies, or are they policies in place, or just
Well,
in
there
case?
are some policies in place. I mean, like if you don't have but X number of employees, you don't have to provide insurance.
So
You know,
you think it needs to be updated for the present time, if
Well,
they're
Well,
thinking of
I mean,
moving?
minimum wage, it covers all of that. Whether you're small or small business or corporate, minimum wage covers that. I
well,
mean,
Mr.
when
Mr.
you come
Davis,
in the door, start at this wage. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm sorry, George, but if it's more of a skilled job, then yes, there's more than $20 an hour in there. But again, yeah, everything does need to reflect the current market, the current inflation, whatever. I mean, it's just out of control right now. What is it, George?
well, isn't it like in California that new rule for the fast food? Isn't there certain requirements for that? In other words, it doesn't. For example, McDonald's, their large corporation, X amount of employees, they have to pay. Whereas mom and pop, they don't have to pay the same price, right? Or the same
Well, in
wage.
California, it is just right now just fast food workers. But now, if you have a hamburger stand, that's considered a fast food.
Okay, I thought just by the number of employees and all that.
Just because me and my wife decide we want to open up a hamburger stand, it's classified as fast food.
Well, you serve. Well, that's
Yeah,
true.
yeah, but no, but I
But
think
do
it
you,
does
if
it
you,
does go by how many workers you do have.
Well, as far as insurance,
No, no, no. The wage. I could have swore I saw that
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah, I remember seeing something like that too.
oh, okay.
They
Well,
go.
maybe I'm wrong. I apologize. I admit when if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I didn't think it was that way.
Yeah, I think you could. Some smaller ones could keep it at 16 to 17, I guess, something like that.
Yeah, that's what I heard
Okay,
too. Yeah.
but again, they're making billions of dollars a year. Okay, I mean, even the McDonald's and so on that are franchised, right? They still making a hefty profit.
Mm-hmm.
I
You
think
know what
Carol
I'm
had something to
saying?
say.
well, no, that's basically all I was going to say is that what you all were basically saying about they have to compare whether it's a small business or if it's a big business. You still got to pay the same if it's a minimum wage of $20.
And that the day of a protest today, May. What was it called? What's today? May Day. Mr. Davis, there's going to be a new protest against McDonald's. Did you hear about that, Miss Carol?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, because they found out that the fries have trans fat.
They've been lying to us for how many years? Trans fat has been banned.
Or you didn't get it. You missed the joke. Anyway,
Ah, man, I
And
always
I didn't hear
I
because I was
get it.
going through the comments.
I said
I
that,
get
Mr.
it.
Davis. I was saying that today they're going to protest against McDonald's because they're saying that the fries have trans fat.
Only
got it now.
George.
I got it now, George. But
Okay.
yes, I've been reading articles, and they've been quoting studies that saying that wages have not been keeping up um with the living cost. You
No, they
know,
haven't.
some studies have point that it shouldn't be at 20. It should be more to 25 to almost $30 an hour.
But
If they
nobody's gonna pay that, Pedro. You already know that.
Yeah, I know, but they're not crunching the numbers because the studies are coming out, and they needs to start looking once something starts making a gap, because there's a growing gap between the living wage and between the earnings that the workers are getting. It is keep getting longer and bigger. And there was a article I was reading about a lady living out of her car with her daughter, works for Facebook, one of the biggest corporations out here in San Francisco, living out of her car.
A whole lot of people doing that. The whole
So,
people doing that because they refuse to pay people, an honest day's pay. You know what I'm saying? Pay me, what I'm worth. I mean, we're talking about this thing with the $20 an hour fast food out this way, right? A lot of them places are going automated. They're buying the machines that'll sit there and flip burgers and do the french fries and all this other kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So now they don't have to pay people to do that. They're eliminating where you walk up to the counter and place your order. You got to go to a kiosk and place your order and wait on them to call your name, and then they charge you for extra napkins or whatever. They charge you for everything. Even they charge you for the bag. If it's a to-go thing, they charge you for the bag.
That's
now
crazy.
now you
That's
pull up in the
crazy.
driveway and they have AI coming and
Yeah,
taking
Taco
over.
Bell. Taco Bell, they have
So,
the AI. I'm
so
like,
that
what?
raises a question. That raises a huge question, guys, right there.
Hmm.
In income tax right there. Okay. And these companies paying tax. I believe they need to be paying every 8 hours a working tax for those robots that flip burgers. And it might have to extend to their menu, because that's a worker that used to take that order through the intercom.
But the
Now it's
robot doesn't
AI.
have a social security number. That's the way they file it,
I
Pedro.
know,
So
but we
it's
need
not technically a human. So that's just free money for them.
Yeah, I think there needs to be policy though. We need to start looking in the future, because
They,
this is
they,
gonna
they're not
displace
going to tax
people.
a machine for how many
Uh-uh.
burgers they flip.
Uh,
No, I'm saying by hour. I'm saying by hour.
I mean,
Like
I
eight
got what you're
hours is a
yeah,
shift.
saying,
I
Eight
get
but
hours
it.
is a shift.
I got your point. Number one, and it's going to be a loss of revenue for the country because if it was a
Hmm.
person doing it, you would get them taxes from that person. But because now it's a machine, the only time you got taxes when they bought that machine.
But
Okay,
another thing that's
but
annoying.
because of hold on, Pedro, I'm in Georgia, but also because of the way corporate taxes work, guess what? That machine was an investment that they're going to let you write it off for X number of years.
True.
You know
True.
what I'm saying? So not only are you not, you're losing tax revenue because there's no longer a worker doing it, you're losing even more tax revenue because you're giving these people a write off for X amount of years for
Bro,
buying a machine to replace the human.
we need to update policy. We need to get the billionaires out of. We
So,
need to get billionaires out of the government, because the
so,
policies are not in place for like how the future is looking like it's going to happen. And if we're
so,
not ready, guess who makes the billions
right,
and trillions of dollars, and
right, right.
who ends
We
up
don't.
losing all that money? Because there's this wealth gets disputed around, and billionaires has been sucking up most of the money.
Well, no, they just sucking up all the money.
Yeah, exactly,
Right?
exactly.
So, right quick, Katie said that corporations are greedy, and God first says hello. So,
Good morning.
Good morning,
man,
y'all.
we're getting a lot of comments in here today. I'm glad to see that. Thank you guys I really appreciate it.
Can I make my point
So,
now, or do I have to wait
uh,
again?
Go ahead, George.
Gone, George.
I'll pick.
yeah, because
I'm not that.
this next one's gonna send us off the rails. So get this one out the way now.
Well, I was gonna say that it's just what you're saying, Mr. Days, about the machines and YouTube page is that at the end of the day, which really gets my goat is like Walmart, right? They have those automated self-serve counters now or registries. Well, that's money taken away. In other words, the government, the Walmart is saving money. They don't have to pay that employee X amount of money per hour. Now we're doing that job, and we still pay the same price. I know,
Right.
what I'm saying. Hey, if I want to go to the self-serve, give me like a 5% discount or something.
Hey, you do
You
the
ain't gonna
10
do
finger
that.
discount, George. You do the 10-finger discount. You put 2 things on the scale at
No,
once
Marketing
and then
has
put 3
tricked
things in the
everybody.
bag.
There you go.
Marketing just tricked everybody. Marketing tricked everybody. Oh, look, these are nice and new. You could do it yourself.
no.
Wouldn't you like to do it?
Well,
Now
again, like
you're
I told
working.
you, I've been saying that forever since they first came out. I don't use them. I refuse to use them, so it ain't gonna work for me.
Right.
But anyway, let's jump into these promos so we can get into this last article, y'all.
Do you need to talk? Are you struggling with your mental health? Are you struggling with substance abuse issues? Call the Orange County NAMI Warm Line. That number is 877-910-9276. That number again is 877-910-9276. You can go to customcane.com. That's custom with a K, guys. And what Custom Cane does is they sell cane and cane accessories. It's like Burger King. You can have it your way. You can get a pink cane, a blue cane, a rainbow cane, a Broncos cane, a Chargers cane, a cane with the Braille alphabet, a cane with your name on it. Whatever you want, whatever type of handle you want, whatever type of tip you want. If you want an aircraft aluminum cane, if you want an all-terrain cane, telescoping cane, any type of cane, Custom Cane has it.
All right. Tisha says she wants to kiss a robot. All right.
Oh, wow.
Okay, Tisha, that might be a little TMI right there. I don't know, baby. But anyway, let's jump into this third one because we're going to probably end up doing a little overtime with this one.
Today on Coffee Time, mass mobilization. May Day protests target Trump's policies. This year's May Day demonstrations have taken on new energy as thousands across the United States plan to protest a range of policies enacted by the Trump administration. From immigration crackdowns to controversial economic reforms, the grievances are stacking up, and so is the public outcry. A central theme this year is the administration's immigration strategy, which critics say includes mass deportations and sweeping immigration raids. These actions have galvanized immigrant communities and their allies, especially within the broader 50501 movement, a coalition known for resisting federal overreach and demanding systemic change. Alongside immigration concerns, protests are targeting budgetary decisions that slash public service funding while increasing tariffs, moves many argue disproportionately impact low-income and working-class Americans. Another focal point is the influence of Elon Musk, who has assumed a role in the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. Protesters argue that Musk's involvement represents a privatization of governance and deepens existing distrust in leadership transparency. The hands-off protests echoing slogans from previous resistance movements, have resurfaced with demands for democratic accountability. These coordinated May Day protests reflect a larger national pulse, citizens demanding not only to be heard, but to reclaim public institutions from what they see as corporate and authoritarian influence. How do you feel about the increasing role of private entities in government? What does protest mean to you today? Join the conversation. Now back to the Coffee Time crew for their thoughts.
Well, number one, private entities ain't got no business whatsoever in politics, period. I, again, let me reiterate, because we're getting ready to get deep. These are our opinions. These are not the opinions of Blind United as an organization. We are all individuals, and we all have a right to say what we want to say, and that's what we're doing at this point. Bottom line, this administration is out of control. He's got all his billionaire buddies. You got the richest man in the world is best friends with the most powerful man in the world. What can go wrong? Well, look at the news. Look at everything that's going wrong. Look at what they're doing. Look what they're doing to the people. They're snatching people up off the street. They're deporting folks. They're deporting babies that were born here, American citizens. Okay, they're defying the Supreme Court orders. Okay,
Right there, Mr. Davis. Right there. People don't realize that you have an administration not complying with the Supreme Court. That was unanimous, wasn't it? That one decision?
yes, 9-0.
And he's still, guys.
He stood on news and said that he won that decision 9-0.
Like,
go ahead, Mr. Earl.
No, I was just saying, like he always does,
Right.
But
he never admits when he's wrong. He always feels that they're winning, like he always says, and it just continuously goes on and on and on and on. And
but you know what? The thing that really bothered me, Miss Carol, what really got other stuff, but when they start getting these students that were protesting and wanted to deport them, they're immigrants and they're aligning with terrorists, with Hamas, and they're going back to that's folks. I don't think they even did that in the 60s and 70s, where they could use that weapon and say, okay, you know what, you're protesting against a certain country, where you're out of here. When have we ever seen that? That's scary, guys. That really is, and and we're like Mr. Davis says, this is our personal opinion, but when you start cutting money to services, like for example, I don't know if you know this, folks, but under HHSE, the director or whatever they call him, the secretary or whatever, he did away with what's called the Independent Living Center, or it's Department of Independent Living. And that department oversaw all the seals that we have here in the United States. Each city should have one, I hope, a Center for Independent Living. Now that's going to be consumed by another department. But what is that going to do for people with disabilities? Right? At the end of the day, how is that going to impact us? For instance, Medicaid and Medicare. They're lying to you, folks, when they're not going after it. They are. And,
of course they are.
And so you go into the politics and see the numbers, they're going after Medicaid big time. And that I don't know, but I don't know what your opinion on that is.
So, well, Katie says, people need to be their own advocate. They got to get out, get big money, the super PACs out of politics. And then there's hold on.
I mean, a lot of comments.
Okay, then they talked about Miguel Palmer says, this guy signed well over 100 executive orders, more than what today's 101, something in there, the days being in office. So I mean, again, it's just out of control. Again, he's sitting up there with all of these folks that don't know what life is like down on this end of the spectrum, right? They've never had to worry about how much eggs or milk or whatever costs. They've never had to worry about it, what insurance costs or this or that. They don't have to worry about the type of homes that we're buying. They're sitting there looking at $5, $10, $15, $20 million homes, buying $100,000, $100 million yachts and all this old kind of stuff. They don't know what real life struggle is.
No.
Okay. And they're sitting up there calling the shots for everybody else. And this is why this is an oligarchy. This is an authoritarianism. This is, we are on the verge of losing our democracy if we do not stand up and fight for what's right.
That's
But
Okay.
right.
let me ask you
That's
this,
why
Mr.
they're
J.
saying hands off, hands off. Stop touching all these things that affect all of us, you know?
But I believe they've been straight out lying to us. And I'm talking about mega, and I'm talking about those Republicans that have turned their back on the First Amendment, freedom of speech, freedom to protest your government. What happened to that? Remember when they were talking about they're stifling our right to speech. The comedians can't even do jokes, this and that. And look at them now. Lawsuits across the whole board against different networks, against different polls, because he did not like what they were saying. And
Pedro,
this, mm,
isn't that why what's his name? Elon Musk bought X or Twitter?
that's what's
Isn't that
why. But
because
he bans so many different accounts.
well, so I'm
So
saying that
many accounts.
it's funny, right? We're the land of the free, but now if you speak your mind, you might go to jail. That's kind of ironic,
In
you know?
public, anyway.
Yeah. But anyways, the thing about this, guys, is that like the tariffs. I'll give you an example. Here in El Paso, I know someone that they do nails, and they offer $25 to $30 to do the nails, but they're scared now because with $145 or 145% tariff from China, she said if she has to buy her products from China because it's cheaper, where ergo she could charge $30 to $25 for the nails. Now she don't know because she buy them at the current prices, she got to charge almost $80.
Mm,
Now what? She's scared that I've been doing this for 40 years.
right.
That's what people don't realize. Like Mr. Dave was saying, people up there are making those decisions, but it's impacting us. And think about this, guys. And this is a good point. Sci-Fi Stadium. What's her name? Had a concert there. What's her name? Destiny Child. What's her name?
So but yes.
Stuff. Yeah. And they say
You
that
say sci-fi.
oh, I don't know.
It's a sci-fi.
Isn't it sci-fi?
No, it's
So-fi.
so-fi.
Oh, SoFi. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I said French fries. But anyways, the thing is that the concert for Beyonce, it didn't sell out. And one of the I was listening to a morning host. He goes, you know why? People don't have money.
They
That's why.
don't.
Yeah, people don't have
Really?
money.
Duh.
They can't afford 100, 200, 300, whatever it costs. I mean, I would imagine that the seats closer to the stage would cost you in the thousands.
Yeah.
Ain't
Exactly.
nobody got that kind of
Yeah.
disposable money no more.
I was
Mhm.
looking at Ice Cube seats. Guess how much they were going for?
For Ice Cube?
How
Ice
much?
Cube, $2,000. Some seats.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, 400,
Wow,
500.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's
yeah.
ridiculous.
He
And
don't
that
even
was
have
a
any
meet
new
and greet.
music.
That was a meet and greet without Ice Cube on it.
He don't even have any new
Damn.
music. That's crazy.
Mm-mm.
It's crazy. It's just totally crazy. So, uh, again, I mean, Miguel Palmer, he says, look at what's going on with our kids coming up right now, looking at what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Think about the effect that's having on them and how, it's either going to discourage them or encourage them to get into politics. I would hope that it would encourage them to get into politics so they can try to fix this stuff.
Right.
But again, I hate to say it, we're on the verge of losing our democracy. Our kids might not have, a political system, a government to get involved with.
But you know what's really stunning, Mr. Davis, is that if you're a pal of the current administration, you could get appointed to a post. You're in no way clear. What's the word I'm looking for? Qualified. For example, HHSE director, Secretary of Health. What's the name? Kennedy. Right now, he's saying that autism is preventable, and people with autism can't get jobs. I'm like, and then you have the Secretary of State. He was a Fox host.
TVOs.
right?
Right.
I mean, come on, man. It's a
But I mean,
stunning.
again,
What
these
you
all of
expect
these people, all of these people
mhm.
offered something to him. A lot of these folks were $1 million. They were big time donors to these super PACs, which goes back to where we got to get money out of politics. You know what I'm saying? All that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm sorry, Pedro. Go ahead, my brother.
No, what is that called? Pay to
Pay to
play.
play.
Yeah.
Remember when he was on Hillary's back and all this pay to play? Look, FBI go after. Well, man, now we don't even we might not even get a case on Trump because he controls the FBI and all that. He has got away with so much for
Mm-hmm.
someone that is egotistic like him, I believe, and got away with so much. What will be the next stop? How
But you
much
know what,
can I get
Pedro?
away with? Let me continue because there's no opposition that has really kind of stood up and tell, hold up, we're really mad.
Pedro, but just be careful what you ask for, right? When I say that, is that oh, we wanted Trump to come into office 100 days, folks, and there's many Gallup polls out there that are saying that he has the worst approval rating in the past 80 years,
Yeah.
right? Even though he denies it,
Well,
but
not
the point,
according to him, though. Of
not
course,
according to him, but what the
Mm-hmm.
point is that
No,
people.
they actually told Fox they need to fire all of their pollsters.
Oh, there you go. But you know what?
Wow.
Like I heard this morning from the host, they can lie all they want, but we know the truth when it starts impacting our pockets.
So
When it
who's
start,
giving fake news now?
well, so apparently to was this administration, everybody does. If it's not in line with his narrative,
Right.
right? If it's not part of his narrative, and the thing is, if you listen to Fox News guys, you just listen to you like, wow, these guys are really brown nosing big time, you know. And it's to me, it's just yeah, the news has some part in it. I could say that, but still, when you have a president saying, for example, we want Canada to be the 51st state. Come on, isn't that just being
um, I have a quick thing to say. Well, look, you know how people on the right they talk about Project Mockingbird. Project Mockingbird is a project name from the CIA for them to put covert agents into news organizations.
Oh yeah.
Okay. People say this is a conspiracy, but there's files on this. Well, I think we found them all. Fox News.
Oh,
Fox
definitely.
News.
Well,
Found them
Mm-hmm.
all.
but the sad part it is that it's not just Fox News right now
That's
because
true.
look at when he went and sued your CBS, ABC, whatever. They bowed down and settled with him. Now they're in his pocket. You
Right.
understand
Mhm.
what I'm saying? These folks are not going to stand up. They're not. They don't want to be sued again, even though they have the First Amendment right. Even though it's their job to report the truth, they're gonna continue to spread his rhetoric,
Mhm.
his propaganda, his lies. Okay, and it's not going to change. It's going to be, not that we're anybody, but it's going to take, independent media. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It
Well,
because
And I'm wondering
corporate
how
media is
their
not going to
ratings
stand up.
go now, based on all of the stuff that they're reporting based on just following his direction. I'm just curious to know the network's ratings, how they're surviving. Because surely people aren't
um,
watching all of this mess. Surely.
Well,
probably
you know how
not.
they surviving, Carol? Because they're also subsidized.
Ah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right.
Also, my God, I lost my train of thought.
That was another big threat that he had on them. He was going to take the
Mhm.
subsidies away from these media places. You know what
Oh
I'm
yeah,
Indeed,
saying?
what
yeah,
he
yeah. That's
said.
how he threatened them. Also, with the 60 Minutes interview, hey, shout out to the interviewer, man. He stood his ground. Unfortunately, the producer he stepped down. He stepped down from his
Mm,
position because of the leaders of the company. They wanted to do a merger with another media company, and they need to approve it from the Trump administration. So they
Pedro.
told him to kind of slow down on this.
Pedro,
Mm,
isn't this the same administration that banned the Associated Press were going to the pressers because they wouldn't acknowledge the Gulf of America.
Oh
Does that
yeah,
tell you
yeah,
a lot? I mean, this administration actually blocked an agency, a news agency, because they wouldn't say Gulf of America.
yeah.
That's
Well,
ridiculous.
also this same administration um keeps talking about Iran and their nuclear weapons when they tore up the deal. This
Yep.
same
Yep.
administration keeps talking about one of their his appointees came out and said, "Oh, I got rid of this inclusion and I don't know what the hell." He put all the buzzwords. I call them buzzwords in his statement. And guess who enacted that act? It was Trump. It was for
Exactly.
the army and the ladies. There you go, the ladies in the army. And Trump enacted that act. And
There was a bill he signed in 2017, Pedro, 2017, folks. And he just recently came out last week saying this thing is outrageous. He's the one that signed it.
Crazy.
The North American trade deal.
Lord have mercy.
He put that in place. Now he's saying it's unfair. Like,
I think he has
what's going
autism
on?
or
Yeah.
dementia or
Well, he
something of that
does,
sort.
and
He
that's the
doesn't seem to
whole
remember nothing.
And that's the whole point. You know, as bad as he talked about Biden, at least Biden can sit down and have a real conversation with you.
Right?
This man, when you sit down with him, it's all delusional. Everything's
Look what
crazy.
happened with what happened with the president of Ukraine when he went to the White House. That was, folks. That was
Okay, well, let me
embarrassing.
go here, George. You know, he met with him for, I think it was 15 minutes at the Vatican.
Yes.
Okay. Guess what just came out in the news this morning?
Oh yeah, the resources.
Yeah, they signed that minerals deal.
Yeah.
They signed that minerals deal. So,
Wow.
Worth billions.
It's crazy, y'all. This stuff is crazy. We're at the end of our time, so hopefully everybody enjoyed it. I hope you did. I did. Sound like everybody else did. We had a lot of comments today. I appreciate everybody.
Yeah, I mean, again, Mr. Mike, man, he didn't know those comments. That's
Man, he was dropping them on us, wasn't he? But again, I appreciate it. I really do. You know, again, just like, subscribe, follow, share, comment. You know, do whatever it takes on whatever platform you're watching us on. Unfortunately, this is going to be our Friday. We got things to do tomorrow, so we're not going to be here tomorrow, but we will be back with you first thing Monday morning. So stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, in between time, everybody enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, Friday, the whole weekend. We out.